And welcome back, everyone, to another Monday night live stream here at the Gridiron Expert. Couldn't ask for any better place to be. This is where we want to be every Monday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time, right here, talking college football. It's a great way to kick off the week. It's a great way to get us through this offseason. And for many, actually for all of us, there hasn't been much of an offseason. Because we've got FCS football now. We have got FCS football. So we're here to talk FBS. We're here to talk FCS. We're going to take your questions in the chat. We're going to take your calls here in a little bit. We're going to go for a little over an hour. Per usual, can't ask for anything better. So we're so happy to have every single one of you here. I can't wait to see you all over the course of the chat, whether it is tonight, tomorrow, next week, whenever you choose to watch. We cannot wait to have you here. So I want to give a couple shout outs real quick to the guys that are already in the chat with us. Hunter5657. Got his peanuts ready to talk about FCS and Dion Sanders. We'll certainly touch on that. Jackson State. Dion Sanders getting their first ever win under him against Edward Waters. I think that was like an NAIA school or something like that, but a win nonetheless. Keto, my man. It is fun to watch football in the spring. Look, I was the type of guy that used to get excited in the summer when arena football was on, when Canadian football was on. Now actually getting to watch some legitimate college football in the spring. It's going to take us to May. And then when we start hitting predictions, it feels like we're in the middle of the season already. So we'll start predictions about a month after the season ends. So we are in a very good spot as college football fans, and soak it up because this may be the only time we ever get to do that. Scott Bankale, per usual, so happy to have you here. Big time Baylor fan, Baylor grad, as we mentioned. Walking, talking Baylor encyclopedia, getting some big tight ends. And that's huge. Dave Aranda needs to keep hitting that transfer portal. Needs to keep hitting the recruiting trail to build up Baylor football to where it once was. Dion Thacker, where are you dropping? I hit you up. Tilted. Let's go play after this. How about that? Cole Converse, Texas Tech goes 0-9 in the Big 12. I don't know about that. Scott just mentioned Tyler Shuck off to Texas Tech, transferring from Oregon. You got a capable quarterback under center now. Not to say Alan Bowman was never the capable guy, but hopefully Texas Tech can get to a bowl game under Matt Wells. I would personally love to see them in one. It's been a long time since the Red Raiders have been relevant. I think that's the right word. They've had so much talent over the last few years and never have really been relevant since the Mike Leach era. So not feeling an 0-9 season for Texas Tech, but getting Tyler Shuck is going to prevent that, I think. Zach Z, good to have you here as well. Notre Dame opting out of the NCAA game, do what you want. I was actually talking to a guy earlier today, and I said, look, he asked the same question, because what do you think about Notre Dame? And I said, I like Notre Dame a lot. I've always respected them as a school and as a program, but I don't care. There are 130 college football programs. If Notre Dame wants to sit out the first round until players want to get paid, which I still don't fully believe players should get paid, but if they want to sit out in 2023 whenever the first game comes out, let them do it. Let them do it until players get paid, because it's going to happen. Agree with it or not, it's bound to happen. Let it happen, and then they can join the game. So I don't really care. I'm not going to be devastated if there's one team out of 130 that I don't get to play as. And I know that if I did Dynasty mode and was some other team and was watching Notre Dame, I know they'd get blown out in the playoffs anyways. No offense to my Notre Dame fans out there. But it doesn't really bother me that much. I think it's actually kind of stupid on their part. They're trying to make a statement, and I don't think it's going anywhere. Graham, Zach, both of you asking the same question. Luke McCaffrey making a difference at Louisville. How do I feel about the transfer to Louisville? I think it's a very great transfer and great pickup for Louisville, considering how much they struggled offensively this last year. I mean, the defense has been a bone of contention with Scott Satterfield. It really hasn't been there for a while, but I expected a bigger step forward from Mikael Cunningham last year. I think everybody thought Louisville as a whole would take a big step forward, and they didn't. So now you need a guy to replace Mikael Cunningham. You need a guy you need an offense to start really building up around a quarterback that can be there for a little while, maybe make the Cardinals a contender in the ACC like they were supposed to be in 2020. So I think it's a huge, huge pickup for the Cardinals, especially after the year they just had. They need to bounce back, need to at least get to a bowl game. And I wholeheartedly believe he's the guy that can do that. And within a few years, he can have this team as a 9, maybe 10-win team if Satterfield continues to recruit and to implement this style the way that he did in year one. And that was a little bit of a long answer. Everlasting Chaos, what's going on? Happy to see you, man. Yeah, it's been, first time catching us live. I've been able to read your comments. I've been able to respond to some comments, but it's great to actually have you on a live stream. And call in here a little bit. We're going to put that number up. We'd love to hear from you. Talk a little ball with you. Burger Smooth, can't stick around tonight. The top picks video is out as of today. I had no idea. Burger, man, now I almost want to end the live stream right now so I can go catch that video. But as soon as it's over, I'm going to go take a look at it. Guys, go check out Burger Smooth Highlights, his channel, and apparently has put up almost a GE tribute video up there. So cannot wait to check it out. Really, really appreciate all your hard work on that. It was quite a surprise. I'm not going to lie. Doing it under your, own volition. So thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll definitely leave a comment, no doubt. We got Papa Josh on the line. Papa Josh in the chat. Y'all, if you have any issues with the chat, any issues with the way this is structured, you go to Josh. He's going to be there. None of this is possible without him. So you guys have commented all this stuff about how great the setup is now. We're thrilled with it. I didn't do any of that. That's all Josh. So yeah, let him know if you got any issues. And last comment we're going to touch on. We'll continue to go back and forth, but before we open the phone lines, Charter Nicholson, my man. First time catching you live. I'm so old. I don't know how long I'll stay, but it's nice to see you here. I saw you've enjoyed the head coaching series, man. I've really appreciated those comments that you've been leaving because you're actually leaving some very solid, in-depth analysis on top of what I'm putting out. Some things I didn't even mention, or maybe didn't even know. So I really appreciate all of that. Really appreciate all of your support. We got a couple of videos left. We'll have that wrapped up, I think, end of this week, Friday. That's off to a brand new series, and I've already got one laid out. I'm really excited to get started on it. I think you guys will all like it too, and we'll start that the following week. So, but Charter, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the support over the course of the entire season. Good luck to us as always. I've got a couple top picks I'll send your way here very soon as well, both with college basketball and FCS too. All right, Josh, let's go ahead and put that number, whenever you get a chance, put that number up on the screen, and we'll take some calls. Again, we're going to keep them relatively short, maybe 3-4 minutes. We might have to cut you off and keep answering your question without having you on the line because we're going to try to get through as many people as possible today. But we will be taking your calls, and we're really looking forward to talking some football with you guys. FBS, FCS, coaching changes, recruiting, whatever it is, we are here to talk about it. Eddie Rose, Michigan State #1 fan. Appreciate you guys both being here. We'll take a look at the Michigan State schedule here soon. And Eddie, yeah, I actually do miss the Big 12. I do miss how it used to be. I really do. Miss it a lot. I loved having Missouri there, Texas A&M, guys like that. It was a really, really fun time for the conference. And we'll touch more on that here in 1 second. But we're getting a call from South Carolina. I got a feeling I know who this one is. Let me guess, this is Hunter.
You guessed it. It is indeed. I just called in to touch up on a few things on this crazy FCS week that we had.
Yeah, sure. Let's hear it, Hunter. What you got?
Let's talk about Dion Sanders' first win as a head coach with the Jackson State.
Yeah, Jackson State Tigers, yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. And just to see him go from like a football player to literally a head coach, it's just weird and amazing.
Well, I'm very, very happy for him. That was the funny thing was Dion was a candidate to, possibly be a head coach at the D1 level, or he is a D1 level, but an FBS level. Florida State, Miami, guys looked at him to go coach there. Ends up going down to Jackson State, and I mean, I think we're putting a little too much hype on his name. Look, it was a very great win. Any win as a head coach is impressive. Edward Waters was nothing near any caliber of an FCS team that Jackson State will face over the course of this year. So good win for him. Great start. Was fun to watch. But I'm really anxious to see how he does against legitimate FCS opponents. But nonetheless, any shutout, any win, you're going to take 100%.
Yeah, but let's touch up on another FCS team. Let's touch up on Grambling State Tigers. Let's see. Do you have any predictions for their schedule?
Hunter, I'll be honest with you. I can pull it up. I haven't looked at Grambling's schedule in a long while. It's been a hot minute since I've even taken a look at it. But like we mentioned, I think a couple of weeks ago when you were on here, maybe it was just last week, and I'm pulling up their schedule right now. You look at this is a team that is traditionally and perennially in the mix for that Celebration Bowl, which goes to an elite team. They're in the SWAC, the Southwestern Athletic, and this is a team that usually is contending for that championship and that spot in the Celebration Bowl, which is almost like their, New Year's Six bowl game in a way. So Hunter, looking at their schedule, I don't know. They play Jackson State on March 6th. I can tell you that. So that's already a game that'll be exciting enough to watch.
Yeah.
But I think they can get Prairie View A&M. I think they can beat UAPB. I think 2 wins right there. Jackson State's going to be a battle. All
right. I have one big question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Who do you have, Southern or Grambling?
Southern or Grambling?
Yes.
That is the Bayou Classic on April 17th, and with it being, let's see, honestly, I'm probably going to have to go with Grambling.
I would go with them too. That's because, Grambling has been very good these past few years as the FCS team, and I think if they can maybe keep pulling this off and keep doing this, I think that they can move up to maybe a D1 school like Coastal Carolina and shock everybody.
It would take a lot of time. It would definitely break from a lot of tradition, but eventually you definitely want to get to that point. So, for these FCS schools that are, perennial contenders and are constantly contending, the jump to the FBS level is getting closer and closer, no doubt about it.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I wanted to touch up on, and, go Tigers.
I appreciate it, Hunter. Take care, man.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
I love Hunter, man. He is quick. He's to the point. He gets his questions out. He's not afraid to say what he thinks, what he feels, and I love that. So, Hunter, again, thank you so much for calling. Great insight on some FCS ball. Talked a lot about Grambling. Second week in a row we've talked about Grambling, so I need to figure out that connection there. But, again, appreciate you calling in. First ever caller. Still will go down in history as the first ever caller at the Gridiron Expert. So, again, the phone lines are open. They will be open for about the next hour or so. 901-297-4545 right there on your screen. Again, give us a call. We are ready to talk. And while we are not on the phone, while we are not talking to anybody, we, of course, will touch on the chat. So, kind of scrolling through. Looking at Scott and Cole here, kind of sparring. Cole saying Texas Tech would go winless in the Big 12. Talked a little bit about Kansas there. Will Kansas be alone in first place in the Big 12 on September 21st? Scott believes Baylor will beat Kansas. Cole believes Kansas has a chance to win. Scott, the first time, he's really getting angry. Come on, Cole, you're crazy for thinking that. Kansas' only chance of winning Big 12 game is Texas Tech, which in the past few years has been the case. I don't know, man. I love the little sparring that's going on. Charter, again, appreciate it, man. Charter has dubbed us the Gridiron Nation. I like that a lot. I hate Gridiron Gang. That's too cliche, too boring. Everybody, it's cheesy. Gridiron Nation, however. Gridiron Nation, we're on to something. I like to think that everybody here is part of the Gridiron Nation. What do you think, Josh? He gives us a thumbs up. He doesn't want to talk. Gridiron Nation. I think we're going to dub it. Really appreciate that, Charter. EJ, Notre Dame taking a stance against EA, looking out for the players. In a way, they're looking out for the players. Here's my argument, guys. All right. EJ, you break up a good point. Here's my argument. NCAA, EA Sports and NCAA, they worked together and created these video games. College football, college basketball. I think at one point they even did college baseball for a few years. That was very short-lived. They made these games for, 15 years? I don't remember when the first NCAA came out, 98, 99, whatever it was. But I know from at least 2003 to 2013, 2014, that was the last NCAA video game. No one had a problem with that, all right? No one had an issue with these players being put in these games, you know? You knew that if you were a team of Alabama, your favorite team's Alabama, it would say quarterback number 15. Well, everybody knew who that quarterback was in real life, all right? Everybody knew who their players were. And these college kids that would go out there and play these video games, they would play as themselves. They know, oh, I'm number 15 for Alabama. That's me. You know, this past year, number 10 would be Mac Jones. Mac Jones is going to play as himself. He might not say his name, but he knows that's me leading this team. For years on end, no one had an issue with that. It was the joy of the fans getting to play as their teams. It was the joy of the players for getting to play as themselves. It was just fun. And then freaking Ed O'Bannon goes out there and tries to make a federal case about it. Players aren't getting paid enough for their likeness. You know, they're making money off of these players and all that stuff. Okay, all right. I see the arguments from both sides on why college players should get paid. But if you're going to make the argument, hey, EA Sports is making money off these players' likeness, how about the universities that are making a crap ton of money from their players' success? I mean, look at Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, how much money their football and basketball programs alone, we're just talking two sports, how much money they're bringing in off their success. The ticket sales, the concessions, the merchandise. I mean, everything that goes into that. Then you get your TV deals. Because you know ESPN and CBS and guys like that want those elite programs. And then they get paid more when they do good, like going to a national championship, winning the national championship. So those schools are making a lot of money off these players. No one has an issue with that. You know, and I know some people are like, well, we're like there, you know, we're going to work. We're working for the school. You're also getting paid a full scholarship. You know, and we've had this conversation before. I mean, again, the argument can go both ways, and I legitimately do see it both ways. But as for the video game conversation, I think it's ridiculous. Now, a lot of these college players have actually come out, at least in the past, the ones that I think were from a better generation, saying, hey, I didn't really care. I was just excited to see myself on a video game, excited to play as myself on a video game. I didn't care about getting paid. I didn't care if they used my likeness. I didn't care about anything. It was just awesome to be a part of history. And, you know, that's something that 20 years from now, yeah, we might be on the PS8, but you can always whip out the old PS3 and show, hey, son, look, I was in a video game. The money argument is ridiculous to me. So for Notre Dame, yeah, in a way they're sticking up for their kids, sure, but at the same time, I don't really care. We just had a glitch here, I think.
Oh, that's fine.
I think we had a. Did we have an intro come in there?
Yeah, the intro ran.
That's okay. All right. But yeah, you know, I
can still hear you.
Okay. Well, I mean, in a way, you know, it's again they're looking out for their players, but this video game's not going to come out until probably 2023. Maybe they've got a deal in place by then. But again, if I was a Notre Dame player, I don't know if I'd even care that much. I think I'd be like, hey, look, man, like I want to be a part of the first NCAA game in 10 years. First NCAA football game in 10 years. Now I want a PS5, PS6, whatever we're on at that point. It's a big deal. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Get down with the Browns. What do you think of Coastal Carolina this year? I thought they deserved more of a chance. They were never going to be in a contention to make a college football playoff. That was never going to happen. Coastal's schedule wasn't good enough. The strength of schedule wasn't. Their best Power 5 win was Kansas. Yes, they beat BYU on short notice. That was a great win. I did believe they were top 12, top 10 caliber team. As for making the playoff or anything, they didn't. I think they deserved a better bowl game. I thought the Cure Bowl was kind of a slap to the face. I know, you know, only one group of 5 schools supposed to go to a New Year's Six bowl game, but I do feel like they could have given Coastal a better slot and a better opponent. Although, granted, Liberty was a solid opponent. Old rivalry game. We were supposed to see that when the BYU game took place. BYU was a replacement for Liberty, and then Liberty beat them. So you can't say it was a bad opponent because if they were, Coastal would have taken care of business. So that was by far one of the best bowl games and maybe games, period, of the year. So I don't know. I don't think they deserve more of a shot at the playoff, but I think they maybe deserved a little bit more respect. They were America's team, and I really, really am excited to watch them in 2021. All right, continuing to go through the chat here. We got a super chat. I see.
Did you see that?
I see. I didn't even pop up. I didn't even see it pop up. We did get a super chat. BGPO Football Funk. If you are still here, I'm sorry I didn't see your super chat come in, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, the super chat is always on, and every little donation, big, small, whatever, goes a long way, and we feed it right back into the channel to try to create things like this. So thank you so much, Mr. Football Funk Love your show. We love you. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right, continuing to move down the line here. Let's see. Cole and Scott still going back and forth. And Scott getting stern. The only questions for Baylor are offensive line and quarterback on offense. Everything on offense is good to go. And look, I mean, as for the quarterback on offense, Scott, you and I both know Baylor's got options. Baylor has options at the quarterback position. Yeah, you don't have Charlie Brewer anymore, but they have people in place. They've got Bohannon. They've got Zeno, if I'm not mistaken. I think you and I talked about maybe Aranda switching some quarterbacks around, maybe putting them in a different position. Wide receiver, running back, something like that. But, yeah, I don't think there's too many questions offensively for Baylor. They should take a step forward after a major step back in 2020. All right, let's see. Cole Converse thinking that West Virginia could lose to Kansas. I don't know. I think, Cole, you've got a little too much faith in Kansas. I don't know, Cole. I'm going to do more research on Kansas later on, but I love Les Miles. I want him to stick around. I want him to succeed. I want to see him get Kansas to a bowl game. But the last 2 years, obviously, and we knew it was going to be a major rebuilding job, so I hope Kansas gives him time. I hope Kansas, instead of giving a new coach the typical 3-4 years, maybe they give Les Miles the typical 5 to 6 years. Because it takes a long time to rebuild a program that was that low. In a national championship type year for Kansas would be going 6-6. I mean, that would be a sign of the apocalypse almost. So hopefully, they can get that done. Now, maybe not in 2021, but maybe by 22. He's just going to continue to build that up. All right, let's see what else we have down here. Again, phone lines are open if anybody would like to call in. Hunter is always the first one to jump, and then it kind of peters off a little bit. But again, 901-297-4545 right there on your screen. We are taking your calls and are anxious to hear from you. If we don't, we'll continue to go through the chat. That works just fine too. Get down with the Browns. I feel like Georgia has a better chance this year, or a great chance this year. Oklahoma with Spencer Rattler. He's a smooth ball player. I feel like Oklahoma's one of my top teams. Bama losing a ton of players won't be easy. Bama losing a bunch of players, Bama losing a bunch of coaches is always a storyline every single year, and we see how that works out. They always bounce back. Yes, offensively they do lose a lot. I mean, you're losing a great running back. You're losing the Heisman Trophy winner in Devontae Smith. You're losing the quarterback that got him that Heisman. So, they're losing a lot, but they've still got Bryce Young and a silly solid defense coming back. They'll be just fine. Oklahoma, absolutely a top team. They're right now in my top 4 going into 2021. And then Georgia for sure. Now they've got quarterback questions solved, hopefully, with JT Daniels. They are absolutely a legitimate contender. We're getting a call right now, but a big shout out again to BGPO Football Funk. Glad you're still here, and I'm glad we were able to win you a lot of money. Hold on, I'll touch more on that. 1 second on the line. We're going to get on him in a second. But again, Football Funk, again, thank you so much. I hope you stick with us. I hope you stick with us throughout the stream. Hope you stick with us next year. And I hope we're able to continue to rack up the money for you. I really do. So again, thank you so much for your support. It doesn't go unnoticed. All right, we've got a caller on the line. Who do we have with us?
Hey, this is BGO Football Funk here.
Ah, man, I was just addressing you in the chat, man.
Yo, man, I've been watching your show for at least 2 years. I'm a big gambler. I'm a Clemson fan, first off, but you are always on point with your picks. When you go through the year 12, and I love the first 12 games, and you always show who's going to win. You're always on point, man. And I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for you, for your show. You, Mark Rogers, and Top Villain, y'all the 3 best I've seen out there doing it, and I'm grateful for all your knowledge.
Man, you don't know how much that means, genuinely. I really, really appreciate that. And let me tell you, as happy as I am to hear that how much our analysis is paying off for you, I just can't genuinely thank you enough for all the support, because we wouldn't be giving that analysis without guys like you. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, I got my own show. That's what you see out there. BJ Football Front, where I cover Pittsburgh Steelers, Clemson Tigers, East Carolina, where I went to school at, and historically black college football. So I cover all four of them on my channel. But I'm this little small guy. I talk about everything on mine. So, But yeah, man, I hope everybody realizes how great you are and how the work that you put in for it, man.
Hey, man, I can't thank you enough. I really, really appreciate that. And I didn't know you had some content. I'm going to be going to drop a sub as soon as this stream's over.
Hey, I'm not as great as you are. Because if anybody out there, tell your friends about him. Gridiron Expert, he is an expert. I'm telling y'all, I done won a lot of money by just following what you put out there. I'm not saying that you're perfect, but I think you get at least 90% right, man. You're one of the few guys I just tune in and wait to see what y'all have to say. And then the stuff that you break down, you and Mark Rogers with the games and the knowledge that y'all have. I know one time you did a show with Mark. I was hoping y'all continue it. But you do a great show. I love the shirt and tie. Man, you should take your hat to Vegas, bro.
Man, hey, we're working on it slowly but surely. Hopefully, we'll get our butt out there.
Yeah. I saw what you talked about the Notre Dame don't want to be on the college football's likeness.
Sure, yeah.
And my uncles played at Clemson in the 80s and the late 70s.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Danny Ford. Yeah. Danny Anderson, who was the money man back then, I met him plenty of times as a kid for Clemson. And I would like to say this. People got to remember college football and college basketball plays for majority of the other sports who don't make money. For example, like tennis. Clemson just got a softball team. Clemson's football program paid for that. And people don't realize that. And I think they should get a big portion of some of the money, not a big portion. I know people say, they get a free ride. Man, if Deshaun Watson go to the NFL, what was communications going to do for him? And I was a political science major in college. I'm not knocking the education, but, you got to see what the quality of the degree is, too, when you send kids to school, because they got to go watch film, they got to study, they got to go to practice, they got to work out. There's all types of things that the kids got to do. They don't get a chance to work a job. People say, they play football. They knew that when we got there. That's true, but you can help them out a little bit more, all the money that they put into those seats. And I know you can see both arguments, but these guys should really get paid. I know my uncle was there when Clemson got in trouble for where they were giving out money and cars and whatever, but that also helped people get established in life and able to move. Cause we grew up really poor. There was 8 of us. Now, there was a total of 10 of us, and everybody but me went to college and played a sport. And that always helped people out. And people got to look at that too, but also look at the fact that college basketball and college football pays for a lot of other sports too. And a lot of the buildings, I heard people saying in the youth, like they weren't building these buildings until we came along. I'm not going to let you go out there and say this, but would anybody care about, I'm from North Carolina, would anybody care about Chapel Hill or Duke if it wasn't for sports? I mean, just be honest about it.
Well,
even the University of Miami.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. That's a very amazing point. The amount of revenue that football and basketball alone for some of these bigger programs, like you mentioned, your Duke, your UNC, your Clemson, and of course the powers like Alabama, Ohio State. I mean that they make a lot of money, and you're right, it does cover some of the smaller sports that don't gain nearly as much attention, don't have nearly as much attendance, and those college athletes, tennis or softball, baseball, whatever it is, they deserve plenty of attention, and they deserve to be able to get to play and do their sport too, and be able to get scholarships too, just as much as those football and basketball players do. And if it weren't for some of these big programs, if it weren't because of the revenue, then they wouldn't be able to do that. So I think that's a very excellent point that a lot of people probably fail to realize.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, and I'm African American, black, whatever. But majority of the people that play these sports, the bigger sports, are black guys who come from poor neighborhoods whose parents can't afford to send them to college too. So there's stuff that I just think people should look at when they make these comments. And maybe that, I know Notre Dame's been good the last couple of years, but that might come back to bite them in the butt. So they might say, why should I go to Notre Dame when I'm not going to get paid for my likeness? And I see these other guys getting paid for it too. I'd rather go to Purdue than go to Notre Dame.
Well, sure, yeah.
Paid for my likeness at Purdue. And like I said, people need to look at that, and people like Danny Ford or the coach at SMU or the Texas schools back in the day, or Auburn, Alabama, they realize that too. These guys should get paid more money. And then what about all the pain and stuff they go through after college, after they made all this money for? Only 0.07% go to the pros, and then their bodies all beat up. And people say, well, they knew that before they got there, but that's not exactly fair either. So I just look at the risk reward. How much is school bringing in? Compared to other ones. And I'm gonna let you go one more thing. And I also the scheduling. Right? People say, well, why does Clemson schedule the Citadel or Texas A&M schedule Texas State? You got to schedule some of these small schools and let the money trickle down. Because without the small schools who give some guys scholarships too, they might say, why should I go play football? I ain't going to go to college for it and get a scholarship like some of the 4 or the 5-star guys. And people need to realize that too. You got to have that. And that's why Alabama pays some of the teams they play and give them, $600, $600,000 a year. Like, look at Savannah State. They funded their whole program in 2013, where they got beat by Florida State like 77-0, and Oklahoma State beat them real bad too. They funded the program for that year off of that money that they earned. So, people got to realize that too. Cause I know people say, "Oh, schedule's not fair," and I hear you talk about it sometimes too. And I just look at it like that too. But man, I'll let you go give other people some calling time. But man, I love your show. I don't know if you're on Twitter, but I'll follow you on. If you are, I'll be following you on there too, man. But I love your show, bro.
Hey, man, I really, again, appreciate it. You made some great points tonight, and just about made my day on the show, man. So thank you so much for calling in.
Yes, sir. Take care.
You too, man. All right, so that was BGPO Football Funk. Great analysis, I should add, as we were talking earlier about player likeness, about the revenue sports in football and basketball, and how that can be affected, the money that they get, because those are the two power sports for most programs across the country, and the two sports that create the most revenue, how that can help fund other sports, your tennis, your baseball, your softball, as he mentioned at Clemson, your track and field, whatever it might be. Those don't bring in nearly as much revenue. I bet a lot of those combined don't even come close to the revenue that football and basketball bring in. So some excellent points, and an avid Gridiron Expert fan, as he said. So, hey, Mr. Football Funk, we thank you. Cannot thank you enough for your support. And again, thank you so much for calling in. Have a great night, and definitely hope to touch base with you again soon. All right, so
another super chat earlier.
Yes, we're gonna go scroll down there. I think I did see that pop up. Yeah, Charter, my man Charter. Thank you so much. We were on the phone with Mr. Football Funk, but thank you so much for that super chat donation. And hey, with the sweatshirt, he makes a good point, guys. Charter's got a sweatshirt. He showed me the sweatshirt. It looks phenomenal. You've seen us with the sweatshirt. It looks phenomenal. I know it's starting to get a little warmer. It's never too early to shop for winter.
I'm going to show people how to do it on the site. I can do that.
Yeah, and I think Josh is going to show you what to do on the site to get that done. So I'm going to keep talking and going through the chat, but he is going to show you in terms of how our website's set up now. We actually have a shop on our website, thegridironexpert.com. But Charter, again, thank you so much for that donation. Thank you so much for the sweatshirt and just for the support and the countless banters and emails that you and I have had over the course of the season. I've enjoyed every minute of it and definitely look forward to continuing to do that. So thank you again. All right, continuing to go through here. Doggy, what are my thoughts on Tarleton State beating New Mexico State? I was hoping someone would bring that up. Tarleton State, first year at the FCS level, loses their first game to McNeese State. So technically they are winless against the FCS. They are undefeated against the FBS. New Mexico State is still an FBS football team, and they got beat by Tarleton State 43-17. And now people are asking for maybe New Mexico State to get dropped down to the FCS level. We saw Idaho do that not too long ago. Idaho was in the Sun Belt and then got dropped down to the FCS. It's not out of the realm of the possibility. But yeah, I'm shocked by that. Genuinely, Doggy, I am. I'm not necessarily shocked that Tarleton State won. I'm shocked they won that bad. I just don't really know what to say. This was a New Mexico State team that was in a bowl game just a few years ago, and I know that would have been their first bowl win since like the 60s, but that's historically bad. Really, really bad.
What other merch would they like to see?
It's a good question. Josh was kind of showing you guys what to do on the website in terms of ordering sweatshirts and stuff, but we have additional merch, and we can create additional merch. If you got anything special, specific, leave it in the chat. T-shirts, hats, cups, coasters if you're into that, pants. I don't know. Whatever you're into, we can make it. And if there's enough demand, we'll happily go out and do it. And of course, as we get into the warmer seasons, we'll start coming out with some T-shirts and stuff like that for a little bit of the warmer weather. But we've got it. We've had a lot of people buy the sweatshirts, and I like to imagine there are a handful of people across the country, maybe a couple overseas for all I know, that have our sweatshirt and are repping the GE brand somewhere outside of our own little studio here. So really excited about that. But again, if you have any specific requests, let us know, because we are continuing to update that. Graham Brooks, I love this question. Biggest ACC challenger to Clemson now that Notre Dame is out? I think this year alone, Graham, it is North Carolina. I think North Carolina is the biggest challenger to Clemson. They are a dark horse playoff team, and I would love to see North Carolina face Clemson in the ACC championship game. I would love that, because now Notre Dame is out. I think it would have been Clemson, North Carolina, had Notre Dame not been in the ACC this year. So I do think that they're the biggest challenger with the offense they have coming back, with the defense they have coming back, with Sam Howell coming back. That's the biggest thing. And the way that Mac Brown's been recruiting has been phenomenal. So they're probably the biggest challenger. I don't think Miami's quite there yet. Florida State certainly is not there yet. Louisville, no. Virginia, no. Virginia Tech, probably not. I think it's North Carolina or Miami, and I'm still giving the edge to the Tar Heels. DM, he's awake. I hope you're still here, but DM, all right. We have missed you the last 2 or 3 live streams. I know it's a little bit later out on the East Coast, so even if you're here for just 10 minutes, 5 minutes, I don't even care. We're glad that you're able to catch you just for a little bit, just for a tiny bit. So awesome to have you here finally. Glad you're able to catch it. You don't have to catch the whole thing in the morning at breakfast. And I hope you've enjoyed the FCS season thus far. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you were able to catch some of the games. I know you and I were discussing North Dakota State and Youngstown State, but so good to have you here. All right, continuing to scroll through. Man, Cole is bringing it with the hot takes tonight, and I'm catching up. I'm getting the backlash from it as I scroll down through the comments. He says he feels Minnesota could beat Ohio State in Week 1. Ohio State is playing a lot of new guys. Minnesota has an experienced quarterback. If their run defense improves, I give them a shot. Brad says not happening. Trey says, are you taking shrooms or acid? Hopefully not on a Monday. Elizabeth Sharpton, who is Robert Sharpton, I know. Robert, good to have you here. Nice to see you. And thank you again, Robert, for the shout out on Twitter. I really do appreciate that. But you were asking what the playoffs are going to look like. You believe Georgia will make the SEC championship game. I do believe that, Robert. As of right now, I do believe Georgia will be in the SEC championship game. Dontron has called in a few times and talked about the possibility of Florida being there. And we've said that we just don't feel it. We don't feel it's in the cards right now for Florida to get back to Atlanta. I think for Georgia fans, and you would know this, Robert, this is a national championship year or bust. That's kind of become the expectation down in Athens. This year, above all years, that's the expectation. National title, playoffs at least, or bust. And for Georgia to do that, as some of y'all were talking earlier, it comes down to that Georgia-Clemson game for me. Here's the kicker the playoff committee is going to have. And we'll touch on this as we get closer to the season, but put it in your head now. Let's hypothetically say that Georgia loses to Clemson in week 1. Well, that's not a bad loss. We know Clemson's a top 3 team. It could be the number 1 team in the country to start the year. That's not a bad loss. It's at a neutral site. Okay. Georgia then runs the table. 11-1 by season's end. But say Georgia loses to Alabama in the SEC championship game. We know that your SEC champion's going to be in, all right? Unless you're, a 3-loss team that somehow gets into Atlanta. If you're the SEC champion, you're going to the college football playoff. Almost a lock. But what if Georgia is a 2-loss team and their only losses are to Alabama in the SEC title game and Clemson in week 1, so at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, literal bookends, and both those games are 1-possession losses? What does the committee do? Because in theory, you would have Alabama in, assuming they beat Georgia in the SEC title. Let's say Clemson gets in, for the sake of the argument. More than likely they will with their schedules, many of you have said. Outside of Georgia, I would say, in a possible battle against UNC. So Alabama, Clemson. Let's say we take the Big 12 champion, whether that's Oklahoma or Iowa State, which I think are my top 2 teams in the Big 12 going into this year. That's your 3. Who's your 4th? Does Georgia get in as a 2-loss team? Does the Pac-12 champion get in, assuming we have an undefeated Oregon, undefeated USC? Who knows? Do you put in a Pac-12 champion? For the sake of the argument, is do you put in a 2-loss Georgia? Do you put in a 2-loss Georgia whose 2 losses were by 1 possession each to arguably and possibly the number 1 team in the country and the number 2 team in the country? That's the question. Would they get that 4th spot? I don't know. I'd like to believe they would, because I don't know many people that could, first off, hang with Clemson and Alabama that way, and not many people that have Clemson and Alabama both on their schedule. So, sake of the argument, who knows? Ohio State. I mean, I wasn't even thinking about Big Ten. Ohio State could be your 4th. That's another thing. You take all your conference champions. Is Georgia left out at 5? I don't know. We'll touch more on that closer to time. It'll be a lot of fun, though. A lot of fun talking the scenarios. Hey, Scott agreeing to hit that like button per usual. Again, we're up to 12 likes right now. We got 24 people on the stream right now, and we want to thank you all, every single one of you, for being here right now. Hit that like button. Boost our stats. Every like, every comment, every share helps get the Gridiron Expert brand out there. Helps share our channel. Helps more people find our channel and continue to spread the love for college football for everybody. So help us out with that. Yeah, Charter Nicholson agreeing with Mr. Football Funk that just called in not too long ago about the 2 revenue-producing sports. Even the best baseball teams break even. Yeah, look at baseball right now. Some of the best teams in baseball are, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Texas, Louisville. I think is the number 2 team in the country right now. College baseball just starting, but they don't come anywhere near, producing the revenue, producing the profit that football and basketball do. More fans can attend football and basketball games. I think more people get excited about football and basketball games than they do baseball. It's just the way it is. People, to me, don't really seem to take much interest into college baseball until you get towards College World Series time. I mean, how often do you see highlights of college baseball on SportsCenter, unless it is a top 10 play? How often do you check your ESPN app and get actual live feed of college baseball? Accurate live feed of college baseball. You don't. How often do you see college baseball on TV? You don't. It's on SEC Network Plus, ESPN Plus. Things you have to pay additional money for, additional costs. It's just not there compared to some of the other bigger sports like football and basketball. So excellent point by Football Fong. Excellent point by Charter. Talk is Pitt. Hello there. I got your comment the other day about the Pittsburgh coaching changes. Like I said, we'll touch on that when we talking Pittsburgh football here relatively soon. Charter here. Gus Malzahn would still be coaching at Auburn if they did not have to play 10 SEC teams. They would have finished with 8 or 9 wins. Another excellent point. Auburn finished, 6-4 in the regular season? The regular SEC season? And then fired him and then lost their bowl game to Northwestern. I agree. I mean, let's think about that. 6 SEC wins. 6 SEC wins in a normal year. In a normal given year. You're right. Finished with 8, 9, maybe even 10 wins. Depending on the non-conference schedule. We know that Auburn had North Carolina on there. But think about that. Would they have fired Gus Malzahn if he had gone 9-3, 10-2? No. They wouldn't have. So, yeah, I think it's an excellent, excellent point. And that's why I feel like a lot of these coaches that played a full conference slate with no non-conference games should have gotten a little bit more of a grace period depending on who they were. Because, again, I look at even a team like Arkansas and Rutgers. They only won 3 games. When you look at that, it looks horrible. Factor that into a normal season, 3 games, 3 conference wins equals a 6-win, maybe 7-win season. We're getting a call from Philadelphia. Let's get it real quick. All right, we've got Philadelphia. Who's on the line with us?
Hello, Mr. Gridiron. This is Talkers Pitt.
Of course it is. What's going on, man?
How are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. It's good to hear from you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. I've been trying to come up with ideas and stuff, what to do with my channel, and I was going to start a couple of videos here soon, but I think I'm going to hold off until the actual season starts, or at least until spring ball starts.
That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. I respect that.
Or definitely. Plus, I'm trying to pay attention to all our commits and everything, because there's been a lot of them that are early enrollees, and paying attention to the schedule, trying to come up with a fair prediction for the Pitt Panthers this year. And to be honest, if we don't go 9-3 this year, Narduzzi's gone. He has to go. We only have Clemson, Miami, and North Carolina. That is our only 3 toughest games on our schedule.
Yeah, I'm about to pull up your schedule here. I just want to get a quick look at it. But with your regards on Narduzzi, Pittsburgh does have to stop settling for mediocrity. You know, this is a team that, especially with the defense y'all have had the last few years, I feel like really could have challenged for not, ACC titles. I don't know if anybody could really take down Clemson, but
no.
At least for, very solid bowl berths, not 6-6, not 7-5, not even 8-4. You've got to start selling. Where do you draw the line to the point where it's like, hey, we should be winning 9 games consistently or 10 games every now and then, And I'm looking at your schedule now. I love the week 2 matchup at Tennessee. I think that's actually a very winnable game for Pitt.
Oh yeah,
I think
definitely.
That's a game they could be favored in.
But it'll be close.
Looking at this, I could very well see Pittsburgh starting off the year 5-0.
Me too, and I'm hoping that happens. Now, the only thing that goes in our favor with the Clemson game is the fact that it's in Pittsburgh. Clemson's never came up here to play in the cold, and it's during the cold months. Very cold months up here, I believe. Yeah,
it's October 23rd, it says. So you're getting Clemson in October. And that little stretch right there, you've got a 5-game stretch that's going to be the key of your season. So, if you start 5-0, which I think they should, that back 5 before you finish against Virginia and Syracuse will be huge. You've got at Virginia Tech, Clemson, Miami, at Duke, and North Carolina. So you play your 4 toughest games in a 5-week period. And they're going to need to try to win out of those 4, at least need to win 2, but man, winning 3 would be phenomenal.
I don't think we'll drop all 3 games. I mean, I knew we would drop all 3 games last year against Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame.
Sure.
But I don't think we would drop all 3 games against Clemson, Miami, and UNC. We have to beat one of them in order to be taken somewhat seriously.
Well, you do. You've got to be able to knock off one of the top dogs to be considered a legitimate contender, and then have the record to back it up. So, I think Miami is certainly a very winnable game. North Carolina is a very winnable game. I think you could very well win both of those.
The North Carolina game will probably play in our favor again, like it did back in, I want to say, 2019 2018, when we last played the Tar Heels. Because it was a Thursday night game, and we beat them in overtime. Because, the history between us and them, it's always decided by 3 points or less.
Right. Yeah, I've watched the majority of the last series between Pittsburgh and UNC because I love those weekday games, and those Wednesday, Thursday night games, those have always been classics. Something that I've enjoyed watching.
Most definitely. I don't like blowouts. I don't know why everybody likes blowouts in college football. I hate them. I think they can make a team look bad. But also I think, depending on who the blowout's against, let's just say hypothetically this will never happen. Let's just say Pitt blows out Clemson. That'll make Clemson look really bad.
Well, yeah, of course.
Me and you both know I'm not the expert here. You are, but I think me and you both have enough common sense to know that would never happen.
Yes, we know that's never going to happen, and I think we also have to understand too. If that were to happen, hypothetically, yes, that makes Clemson look bad. Does that mean Clemson is bad? No. If Clemson were 7-8-0 and gets blown out by 24 points to Pittsburgh, does that mean Clemson's a bad team? No. Go back to Ohio State. The times they've been blown out against Purdue, against Iowa. Does that mean Ohio State's a bad team? No. They just had a horrible game, and the other team simply outplayed them. I'm not a huge fan of the blowouts myself.
We have the potential to beat Clemson. Even though this was last year, if people actually watched the highlights and not just looked at the score and then, watch something else, we picked Trevor Lawrence off twice. We sacked them 4 times throughout that game. So it's not like we can't get to Clemson or get through their offensive line.
Sure.
They just know how to run the ball very well. That was our problem, is our run defense, even though we led the nation in tackle for losses, our run defense was really not all that great. I felt it was just slightly overrated.
It wasn't as good as it should have been.
No, and it definitely wasn't. Our issue doesn't necessarily lie with recruiting. It's the size of the recruits, because our defensive line, especially our offensive line, for the past, I want to say 7 years, has been undersized. Especially that year we beat Clemson. We didn't have a defensive lineman at 300 pounds.
Right. Yeah.
And now we do. We got very, very big recruits coming in. Aaron Donald's nephew committed to Pitt. Dorian Ford, 6'6", 320 pounds, committed to Pitt. We got a lot of big recruits coming in, and hopefully we can have a better year so everybody can stop talking crap on us, especially teams that never even play us.
Right, yes. And
I see that a lot in the chat, and everybody's chat, Uncle Lou's chat, Mark Rogers' chat. It's just that every time a Pitt fan comes in, it's never a nice day.
Right. They're always looking to pick a fight with the Pitt fan. But you make an excellent point. Look, we know you and I, and we'll leave you with this so we can get some more callers. But it's all about winning that battle in the trenches, especially when you're facing a top team in the country like a Clemson. You've got to be able to match up with what is usually a very solid offensive line and a very talented and fast team offensively. If you don't have the guys and the size up front, you're not going to stand a chance.
Yeah, we'll beat Virginia Tech again this year. We dropped 47 points on them last year. We'll do it again.
Right.
They lost a lot.
They did. Virginia Tech, if
I'm not mistaken, they lost half their offensive unit and half their defensive unit. I know Hooker, what is his name, Hendon or Brendan Hooker?
Yeah, Hendon Hooker transferred out.
I think. Yeah, he's gone. So I don't really know who they brought in. I don't follow Virginia Tech football that very well. But I'm really looking forward to that Clemson game. I want us to win that big one. That's the big one. Miami or UNC will do. but that's the big one. And I'll let you go so you can get some other callers, and I'll hop back in the chat.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. Good talking to you again.
Good night, sir.
All right, so that was Mr. Talk is Pitt, and we will certainly talk more on Pittsburgh in the future and talk with him more. Like Scott, very, very knowledgeable when it comes to Pittsburgh football as a whole, and I absolutely love it. And when the season rolls around, or when spring season rolls around, go give his page a look. But like he mentioned, the Clemson game is the big one, October 23rd. And that reminds me a lot of, what was it last year, where Notre Dame was the big one. Notre Dame traveled to Pittsburgh, and that was the big one. That's the one where Notre Dame's on upset alert, and Pittsburgh didn't do anything. So it's going to be a matter of Narduzzi can get over that hump, win a big game. He's done it before. We know they beat Clemson just a few years ago. It feels like it's like 4 or 5 years ago. They can do it. The recruits they got coming in, they can do it. It's just a matter of how will they fare in that very difficult 5-game stretch that we just touched on. All right, so we've got about 10, 15 more minutes here. I want to catch up on as much of the chat as possible because we've gotten some great comments. Let's touch on them. Gamecocks, opinion on Jackson State. Keep an eye on them. They looked great in week 1. They played with Edward Waters. Again, the matchup was skewed anyways. It was always going to be a blowout in favor of Jackson State. I'm interested to see how Dion prepares his team for a legitimate FCS opponent. Let's see how they look. And they beat a legitimate FCS opponent. I don't care if they're the worst one. They beat a real FCS opponent in blowout fashion like they did in week 1. Start taking him seriously. And you should take him seriously. He's changing the culture there. Dion Sanders quickly has changed the culture there. A lot of excitement, a lot of passion from him and his players. And they're going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. One of the most intriguing FCS teams in this spring season. Cole Converse, an odd top 4. Alabama, Clemson, Wisconsin, Iowa State. Very well could see 3 of those happening. And the one that I don't see happening is not Iowa State, it's Wisconsin. I don't see Wisconsin coming near the top 4. Maybe they're the favorite to win the West. It's probably going to be a battle between them and Iowa. But do we really think they can get past whoever comes out of the East? Most likely Ohio State? Not really sure. I know you're not too high on the Buckeyes right now, though. Esteban Bernal, I gave you a shout out down in the chat. I want to thank you again. The best NCAA football handicapping. Not my words, your words. I appreciate it. Look, we're just doing our job. That's what we try to do. But we're going to make the most accurate picks. We're going to be 100% honest with you. And I saw what Charter said down there, too. Only honest handicapper out there. And I actually want to get a snapshot of that myself. Just have that. I mean, 'cause I genuinely appreciate those words. I mean, makes what we do a lot more worthwhile and makes it a lot more fun for us knowing that, yeah, the goal is to be right, and we're going to be right. We're going to be correct, and we're doing it for y'all. But just to get that feedback means the world. So, Esteban, I really appreciate you. Charter, really appreciate you. Good night. Saw you were off heading out to bed. Gridiron Nation. And again, I can't thank you enough for all the support. All right, catching up on a few other comments here. Let's see. Michigan State #1 fan. Give me 2 minutes and we're going to take a look at the schedule. I promise. I told you I'd do that, and we will get to it. So we will get there. Scott, I'm glad you're doing better. I hope you're back home. Hope you're back safe. Anybody in the state of Texas that's with us right now, I hope you guys are getting better. It's certainly cleared up here in Arkansas where I am. But, man, I mean, what a last week it's been. Record lows. So much snow, more than I've ever seen in my life. We think we got 14.5 inches up here. I know some places in the state got about 22. So, and I know Texas got it worse. So, it was snowpocalypse. That was the title of our live stream last week. And we meant it. It was a snowpocalypse. I've never seen anything like that. But I hope you all enjoyed it. Got out of school, got out of work, were able to enjoy it, get out and play in it a little bit. But also, I hope nothing happened to your house. Lost power, bursted pipes, anything like that. So, again, Scott, I hope you're all doing well. All of you guys, I hope you're doing well. Sam, Oklahoma or Iowa State? Regular season, as of now, Oklahoma. If they meet in the Big 12 championship, Iowa State. It can change, but that's what we're going with right now. Hypothetical, Oklahoma 12-0, Iowa State 11-1. Iowa State beats Oklahoma in Arlington. Do both make the college football playoff? That would be a fantastic man, Cole, honestly, I hope that happens. I hope that happens because that would finally force the College Football Playoff Committee to work. It would finally force them to work. Because let's take our other hypothetical. a 2-loss Georgia team whose only loss is to Clemson and Alabama. Or maybe 1-loss Georgia. How about this? How about a 1-loss Georgia, a 1-loss Alabama, so a 1-loss SEC champion Georgia, 1-loss Alabama, whose loss was to Georgia in the SEC championship, 1-loss Oklahoma, lost to Iowa State in the Big 12 title, 1-loss Iowa State, who fell to Oklahoma in the regular season. So you got 4 1-loss teams there, all very much elite. 2 of them are locks because you probably have Iowa State in, you had Georgia in. Does that mean you put Alabama and Oklahoma in? What about your Big Ten champion? Ohio State, someone like that. What about the ACC? You got Clemson. I mean, so many scenarios could happen from there. I love that hypothetical. And again, we'll touch more on that in the following months. But my gut, Cole, says no. Both would not make the college football playoff. DM, again, thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to your thoughts over breakfast. Go North Dakota State, season opening victory. Go Albany. Really looking forward to watching them here in the next few weeks. Zach, yeah, I do think Matt Campbell could win Coach of the Year. I thought he was a strong... look, if Coastal Carolina doesn't do what they do, you easily could have given the award to Matt Campbell, 100%. So if he leads them to the playoffs, leads them to a Big 12 title and wins it at 11-1 or whatever it is, yeah, he's Coach of the Year in my eyes. All right, let's continue to scroll down here. Let's see, we talked a lot about Pittsburgh, so we got some good feedback on that. Will Burrow, good to have you here. You and Josh going at it a little bit, getting a little conversation going. Thank you for including Josh in our stream, in the chat. Eddie, what were my thoughts on Kelly Bryant in 2019? I was very disappointed. Missouri wasn't going to go to a bowl game, which is, I thought it was odd. People thought that Kelly Bryant going there would make Missouri a SEC title contender. And the way their schedule stacked up, they could have started 7-0, 8-0 going into that Georgia game. I think they finished the year at 6-6. Had to beat Arkansas in the finale to go 6-6. And yeah, across the board, he battled injuries, but early in the year before he was doing that, he was very disappointing. I think maybe he was one of the more overhyped transfers that we've had in recent memory. Everybody wanted Kelly Bryant. Some reason he went to Missouri, and they went 6-6. Yeah, I was very disappointed. Very disappointed. And I thought he would do amazing too. Graham, excellent point. Clemson's offensive line was sus last year. Biggest liability to their success next year. Yeah, they've got to improve on that side of the ball. They got to improve up front in the trenches, like we mentioned. Look at their game against Ohio State. Look at their game against Notre Dame. Constantly under pressure for the majority of the year. Honestly, Graham, if you follow the NFL at all, that Clemson's offensive line this year, in a way, reminded me of the Patriots' offensive line back in 2015. The Patriots made it all the way to the AFC Championship game where they played at Denver, and their offensive line was no match for Von Miller and that Broncos defense. And we knew the Patriots' offensive line was bad getting to that point, and it proved. If their offensive line had been just 25% better, I think the Patriots win that game and go to the Super Bowl. I don't think that's the case for Clemson in terms of beating Ohio State, but yes, it was a major liability. Yeah, and you and Zach kind of agreeing on that. Ben Wyndham, who are some sleeper teams to make the college football playoff? To give you 2 right now. 2. Iowa State, North Carolina. Those are my top 2 sleepers, and I think they're going to be top 10 teams to start the year. But those are legitimate teams that can make the college football playoff, no doubt about it. Will and Josh talking about WandaVision. Maybe you guys should get each other's numbers or something. You can talk a little bit about WandaVision and express the thoughts. I love it too, though. I talked a lot about the credits last week, but if you guys watch WandaVision, 2 more episodes left. And I don't want to spoil anything, but my goodness, I think we all saw what was coming at the end of episode 8, I would hope. I called it in episode 2. But,
Episode 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, they're only doing 9, aren't they? They're only doing 9 episodes. That's a weird number. Why don't they just do 10?
Don't look at me, man.
You seem to know the most about the Marvel, but
I'm just here for the ride.
well, you're doing a great job. Episode 7, excuse me. Wish there were 10. I think we all do. All right, Michigan State #1 fan. I promised you I would look at the schedule. I will pull it up right now, and that will be kind of how we close, I think. for the most part. We might have a couple more that we'll touch on. But Michigan State, number one fan. I'm looking at your schedule. You can't see it. I can see it. What do I think their record could be? What do I think it could be? Well, let's see. I think there's a little stretch there, Mr. Fan, where you could probably start 3-2, maybe 4-1. The Northwestern game is a toss-up because I don't think Northwestern's going to be what they were like last year. Lose a lot of key seniors, juniors and seniors from that team that got them to the Big Ten championship and thumped Auburn in the bowl game. So maybe a toss-up there with Northwestern. You should beat Youngstown State. I don't think you'll beat Miami on the road. I think you can beat Nebraska. I think you can beat Western Kentucky. Rutgers and Indiana on the road, no piece of cake either of them. Indiana, I don't see it happening. Rutgers is up in the air. So we're at 3 wins, 2 toss-ups. I think you beat Maryland, 4 wins. Michigan off a bye. Let's just hypothetically say you win that game because you won in Ann Arbor last year. You're getting the week of rest. 5 wins. I'm not committing to that. 5 wins, 2 toss-ups. You're not going to beat Ohio State. And then Purdue, you're not going to beat Penn State, I don't think. I think Penn State has a bounce-back year. Let's just say you don't beat Purdue. So 5 wins, 2 toss-up games. Your bowl destination, your bowl hopes could hinge on a road game to kick off the year at Northwestern and a road game at Rutgers. Maybe the road game at Purdue. The unfortunate thing about all of that is that the toss-up games that could make or break whether or not Michigan State gets to a bowl game or not in 2021, those make or break toss-up games all fall on the road. That's the unfortunate part. You've got a lot of winnable games at home. I see 3 right there. I do think you're going to beat Maryland, so that's 4. And then Michigan at home off the bye is huge. They're going to improve. But let's keep in mind, what did they win? 2 games in this last year? 2 Big Ten games this last year? They might only win 4 or 5 games in the regular season this upcoming year. That's technically still improvement, but it's still not good enough to go bowling. So they're quite the anomaly, I think, in the Big Ten. They were very inconsistent last year. I hope they find some more consistency. Biggest thing first is going to be finding a quarterback. That's going to be huge for the Spartans. But I hope that answered your question a little bit. I'm looking at the schedule again. It's just those road games, those pesky road games against the middle-of-the-pack Big Ten teams that are going to make or break whether or not Michigan State goes bowling. Purdue, Rutgers, Northwestern. Those are your key 3 for Michigan State #1 fan. And let's see. Hitting our last 2 here. Peyton Bragg, dark horse team in the SEC in 2021. You're looking for a dark horse? Ole Miss? Ole Miss, maybe? I think they're going to be a top 20 team, top 25 team to start the year, but they hung with Alabama last year. With that offense, they can hang and beat anybody. And if the defense just takes a slight step forward, I really think they could do some damage. So watch out for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. If Matt Corral cuts down on the interceptions, if the defense takes a slight step forward, it's not impossible to win in Tuscaloosa. Ole Miss did it in the past with Hugh Freeze. I believe Lane Kiffin can do it too. So watch out for them. 100%. Gerald Burke, Kentucky #3 in SEC East football. And Graham Brooks, SEC East champ to win SEC championship game. Georgia only won it 3 years ago. It can happen as long as they don't play Bama. And he was talking about that with Cole's little scenario up there. Most likely to happen first. And Graham's exactly right. Georgia did win it just 3 years ago because Auburn beat Alabama to get to the SEC championship game. The key in the SEC is to avoid Alabama at all costs. The teams in the East have it easy. You find a way to get to the championship game and then pray that someone in the West pulls off an upset. Auburn, A&M, Ole Miss, LSU, whoever. Pray they can do it, and then you've got a chance. Otherwise, Alabama or a bust. Not many people can defeat the Tide. Cole, I like that. Dark horse SEC team, Arkansas. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But guys, look, this has been a fantastic live stream. We've actually gone a little bit over. I'm getting some cut eyes from our producer, Papa Josh. But I want to thank you all so much for being here tonight, for real. Another great Monday night live stream every Monday night right here, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We will be here talking college football, taking your calls, taking your questions, your comments in the chat. We're going to be here to cover it. So don't miss it. We're going to keep you updated on Twitter. We're going to keep you updated on posts here on YouTube. And we look forward to every Monday, just like I hope you guys do too. So thank you all so much. Once again, thank you all so much for the support. We're finishing up our coaching changes this week. Stay tuned for that. We'll have content out for you every single day, 24/7, 365. You guys have a great rest of the night, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.